From scenic Colorado Springs, Colorado. A big one tonight in the USL Championship is for the first time ever, the Switchbacks play host to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. It's brought to you by Capelli here on ESPN+. Sean St. Jacques, Casey White on hand for this one. Excited to bring you some West versus East action at high altitude in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And Casey, where better to start than with players to watch, and Speedy Williams tops the list for the Switchbacks.
Speedy Williams is a big-time player for Colorado Springs, a player right in the middle of the park, so essential in connecting the back line with those attacking midfielders, and he can cover a lot of ground with the way he positions himself, so a critical piece to their defense today. Player
to watch is brought to you by Keg One Modelo. He will certainly be one to watch for the Switchbacks. Here's how the lineup looks, brought to you by Phil Long under first-year head coach Stephen Hogan.
And this is a roster that can score by committee. Romario Williams, though, right there up top, that's going to be an essential player that they want to try and get the ball higher up the field because he can certainly create chances for himself.
The Switchbacks have had a good start to the season at home in the league, coming off, of course, the loss in the Open Cup against League One's Northern Colorado Hailstorm. For the Riverhounds, Albert Dequa has 3 goals this season for Bob Lilly's group.
He can score goals. He had the hat trick here recently, but he also does a lot of the dirty work. He works defensively. He wins possession for his team high up the field. Not only can he score, but he also draws so much attention. He creates things for other players.
Let's take a look at Bob Lilly's full 11. It's brought to you by Phil Long, and it's got a lot of veterans in that midfield and at the back as well.
We have Forbes in the midfield, a connector on the other side for Pittsburgh, and then the back line of Dos Santos, Ordonez, Hogan, and Biasi. Those players along that back line going to be really important that they don't allow a lot of space in behind for Colorado Switchbacks to attack.
It's going to be a fun one tonight here in Colorado Springs. These two teams meeting for the first time ever in league history, and there's a lot on the line. Early season stakes at high altitude. The Switchbacks and the Riverhounds meet next. Back here at Widener Field in Colorado Springs, Colorado, the Switchbacks playing host to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Tonight's player walkout is sponsored by Children's Hospital Colorado. Believe it or not, first ever meeting between these two teams. Both made deep runs in the postseason in their respective conferences a year ago and trying to go that further step to get closer to getting to the final and possibly lifting the cup this season in the USL Championship. It's always a community affair here at Widener Field. Everyone making the trip over to the stadium here. Before the game, they're saying 6,000 feet above sea level. We'll see how the high altitude impacts the Pittsburgh Riverhounds coming here for the first time.
Well, not only are you an away team, but also that altitude piece can be a factor. We'll see how much of a factor it is, as you mentioned, but there's a lot of things you have to think about as the away team coming in against a team like the Colorado Springs Switchbacks.
It's been a tough week for the Switchbacks, knocked out by Northern Colorado Hailstorm for a second year in a row, believe it or not, in the U.S. Open Cup. They're trying to bounce back against a Pittsburgh Riverhounds team that's been trying to turn draws into wins.
It's hard to have that many games this quickly, but in some respects, it's kind of nice after a loss like that to get right back out on the field, refocus, and go for a win and try to really right that wrong a little bit and get going in the right direction.
His first-year head coach, Steve Hogan's group. Of course, the shirt there being held for Zach Zandy. He's out for the season with a season-ending injury. It's such a huge blow. We were talking off the air about that, Casey. Losing a veteran presence who's expected to score goals, play a lot of minutes this season. They have him close to their hearts for this one, and he's going to be a big loss.
Not only, like you said, being able to score goals and create them, but just such high soccer IQ and just his ability to connect play in midfield will certainly be missed alongside his leadership.
For Pittsburgh, it's new territory. It's rare you say that with the Riverhounds. They're one of the historic clubs in this league, but they've never been here to Widener Field. Bob Lilly was excited about the prospects of coming here. They've been trying to get better against the West. They've been struggling the last couple of years against the Western Conference. It's a good test early for the season for them.
And he was really direct about that is a goal, to make sure that they're better against the Western Conference. This is a great test. It's on the road against a team that he expects to come out very aggressively.
Our referee tonight here in Colorado Springs is Ricardo Fierro, and we are just about ready to go here at Widener Field. The Switchbacks in their light blues and white kick us off, going from left to right, and we are off and running with the Riverhounds in their, of course, black and yellows, pursuing the ball early off of Macca King for Colorado Springs. He's able to spring a ball forward here to begin proceedings. Shane Beckford, who's going to be a big factor tonight, gets inside the penalty area, gets cut off, and Pittsburgh get a no-nonsense clearance out of the penalty area.
And for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, really just withstanding these first few minutes, maybe even up to about 15 minutes of being on the road, Colorado Springs is a team that can expose space behind the back line. You see it right there. It's something that the Riverhounds are definitely going to have to be aware of and trying to stifle.
Shane Beckford came on as a substitute in the loss to the Hailstorm in extra time here on Wednesday night. It was a 3-1 defeat. Switchbacks actually scored first in the game. 82nd minute. It was a goal from Drew Skundrich. Looked like it could have been the winner, but the Hailstorm had a late reply 6 minutes later. And the Switchbacks, with the younger group out on the field, ran out of gas in extra time. Pittsburgh coming off a 1-1 draw against Miami. They had to get a late equalizing goal from Burke, failing to salvage a point at home. 1 win and 3 draws so far this season for the Riverhounds, and chance maybe to maraud forward on this near side. That was Tony Lopez, but the offside flag is up, negating any further proceedings. Switchbacks can reset. Macca King came off the bench as well. It was a lot of the youngsters. Marco Rios impressed. He's on the bench today for the Switchbacks, as is Dylan Clark. So a couple of the youngsters trying to make up for that loss of Zach Zandy. And Stephen Hogan said it was going to be a collective effort, multiple guys, but Marco Rios is the first one that gets a chance at it, and he gets a spot on the bench for this one as Shane Beckford picks it up in possession.
And that's one of the positives to come out of that matchup, is that they're able to get young players with a little bit of game experience, where winning and that result did matter, and it does matter in the Open Cup, and it's something they take seriously. So to have an Academy contracted player get that experience could be crucial as just developing the player one, but also as we go throughout the season, each team might need some more of those players to perform.
King, pursued by Dikwa. If he scores today, we'll get his 20th goal in a Pittsburgh Riverhound shirt. Had the hat trick in the win at Memphis, which is Pittsburgh's only win so far this season. And despite the 3 draws, Pittsburgh still find themselves, again, early days here, but 3rd in the East. It's about where they would want to be at the end of the season, if not a little bit higher. As the Switchbacks can Place a ball in the middle of the penalty area. Header was central towards Romario Williams. It's flicked back into the penalty area. The Riverhounds deal with the initial onslaught as Robbie Mertz tries to control it. Goes all the way back to Jamali Waite. And he boots it out of play. And there is a Pittsburgh Riverhound down here at the end of the sequence. Medical staff's being waved onto the field. Looks like it's Tony Lopez, who had the earlier run, was taken back for offside, and he'll be looked at. Well, Bob Lilly's team dealt with some injuries last year. They do have depth on the team. It's one of the cornerstones of Bob Lilly's team. 6th season in charge of the Riverhounds. He's directing orders there to Mertz, Forbes, and company. But we'll see if he has to make a really early alteration here.
Well, and this is a team that is known for being really structurally sound and very hard to break down. As we take a look at the last challenge and that hard collision on Lopez, that's what's caused him to just take a few moments here, and hopefully he'll be okay. But it's hard to be that tactically structurally sound and be deep, right? Because if you're making changes, you would think maybe you're going to lose something in the structure, but he does such a good job with his group of making sure they understand how they defend, how they attack, and anyone can really step into those roles.
It's a good look at that replay. Maybe just a wind knocked out of him situation.
Sometimes you just need a few seconds when that happens. That does not feel good. I mean, even in slow motion, that looks like it's coming in fast.
Right, no question. So hopefully see Lopez again in a second. He's trying to get back on as Switchbacks in a bit of a stop-start beginning to the game. First 5 minutes, can recycle the ball in possession. Mentioned earlier, Dikwa had the hat trick. He's on 19 goals and he's had a good start to the season, but Bob Lilly's hoping that a couple other players can start to be more clinical in front of goal. There's been chances in each of the 3 draws that Bob Lilly looked back on and said, we really should have done better, and potentially turned those into goals and in turn into wins.
And to use his words, he said it was a bit wasteful in the final third, and on one hand, at least you're creating those chances. That bodes well, especially early on in the season. You want to at least start creating those chances, but at some point, it's about how clinical and can you be and can you execute when you have those moments.
It's a big first touch there. It's a late challenge. It's going to be a foul and a free kick, as that was Duke Lacroix trying to make a run forward for the Switchbacks. He's clutching his ankle. It'll be a free kick for the hosts as we take another look.
And Lacroix gets there just in time, or maybe not in good time since he took the foul, but get there a little bit quicker, draws it, and this will be a set piece for the Switchbacks. But this type of stop-start, I think, really plays to the favor of the Riverhounds. They're on the road. The Switchbacks definitely like to go forward and go forward quickly.
So a chance to get this into the penalty area for Colorado Springs. Oh, Carter Fierro just making sure everyone is playing nice on the edge of the penalty area. Ball is whipped in by Enriquez. In the end, too much fade and loft on it. It flies over Jamali Waite's goal. Been a heck of a couple of weeks for Jamali Waite. Played with Jamaica in the CONCACAF Nations League. Got a result against Mexico, of all teams. And he's starting to get some looks for the national team at different levels. And Bob Lilly said a lot of great things about him and what he provides in coming back into this lineup mix for the Riverhounds.
And that's a big-time opportunity for him as a young goalkeeper. And, of course, you don't like to lose your starting goalkeeper for international duty, but at the same time, that's just critical experience that he's gaining and able to bring back in the environment.
We've seen it more and more with USL Championship players getting opportunities with their national teams, and it's been great to see for the league and for the development of the players in the league as well. Okay, to across the field by Nathan Dos Santos, another one of the regulars in Bob Lilly's selections at the back. And a first touch for Christian Herrera. Did not play in the Open Cup midweek loss to Northern Colorado. Alex Smear got the start. He's on the bench tonight for the Switchbacks. He had an awkward moment against the Hailstorm midweek, a ball that bounced over his shoulder at the near post. A couple of replays of it looked like it may have gone over the line. The goal didn't stand. Another good switch of play onto the far side for Lacroix. Jairo Enriquez. Always pick out a good pass, had the right idea. It slithers through towards the penalty area where Beckford tries to keep it in. But it's well shepherded out on this near side by Dos Santos, and it's a goal kick.
And that entire spell of play, really, Pittsburgh was defending in a mid-block, which is something they really want to do. They don't want to allow that chasing of the ball, so then there's space open in behind the back line. And they almost were able to find it, the Switchbacks, but Pittsburgh so far being really smart just about how they shift.
It's one thing I think that's been so synonymous with Bob Lilly teams is the way they play at the back and how stingy they are defensively. So difficult to break down even away from Highmark.
Yeah, and it can be frustrating because Colorado Springs Switchbacks, are enjoying a lot of the possession, and so when that happens, you think that opportunities are coming from it, but the stinginess of the back line, how they play in units and in combination with each other, is really good and really structured.
Good crowd here at Widener Field. It's always a great atmosphere for league games here. The stadium was erected a few years ago. Been a great hotbed for soccer in this league. Bernardo Forbes, the all-time league's assist man. Gets his pocket picked on that occasion. Switchbacks can create something potentially from here. Speedy Williams. Mario Williams just trying to flick it over the top. The attack breaks down for the moment, recycled by Steve Echeverria. That pass, he's a good step in, picked off. Chance for Mark Ibarra to lead a counterattack for the Riverhounds, but his central pass for Mertz is cut out. Played out wide by Skundrich. This is Deshane Beckford. Could be so elusive, 1v1. Dos Santos trying to do his best and ends up forcing a poor pass back for Skundrich.
And a lot of patience shown defensively there from Dos Santos in that 1v1. You have the speed of Beckford that can be so dangerous, but really he just showed that patience, and the Switchbacks really have to think about how quickly they move the ball. When you talk about someone in a team that is so structured, the ball has to move quick to try to open up gaps.
Early in the season, right, but Deshane Beckford leads the league, 3 assists in the early weeks of the campaign. Christian Herrera leads the league with 15 saves this season to begin proceedings. And again, the Switchbacks are on 7 points. They're 4th in the West coming into this game tonight. And again, losing Zandy, having to go younger midweek against the Hailstorm didn't help, but you can see what Steve Hogan's building. He's taking a lot of cues from Brendan Burke. They're always in contact with each other. Of course, Brendan Burke, after his great success, is now on the Houston Dynamo staff in MLS. Williams trying to maraud his way through. He gets some space, and he ends up just missing the target, and he pulls it wide.
291 Colorado whiskey. Riding like you stole it, drinking like you own it.
Well, he had a brief moment where it opened up, just couldn't hit the target.
He does well to avoid pressure there, and just the run across in front of him, a little bit awkward there at the moment, tries to go for power, gets around it a little bit too much.
He came on as a sub against the Hailstorm and provided some much-needed hold-up play for the Switchbacks. And is going to be expected, especially now with Zach Zandy out, to contribute in front of goal. That time just couldn't make Jamali Wade work. Some trickery attempted on the far side by Jairo Enriquez. Pittsburgh on top of it, and they'll reset. Mertz, Steel City native in that midfield. Briefly had a stint with Atlanta United too, And Bob Lilly said, "Nah, we're going to bring you back. We need you." And he's continued to be one of the stalwarts in that really strong Riverhounds midfield.
And he leads the team in chances created, has 10 so far on the year, and just someone who's super active in the midfield. So anytime they're going forward, he's usually a part of their ability to get into that final third.
Said at the top, it's the first ever time these two teams have met. Pittsburgh now only has 2 teams that they've yet to play in the current USL Championship roster of teams. San Diego, which was a little surprising to me. Fighting Landon Donovan's haven't made the trek yet to Highmark. And then Monterey Bay, obviously, one of the newer teams, had a good season last year, just missed out on the playoffs in what was a crazy year in the West a season ago. Forbes is able to pick out a teammate in Ordonez, who tries to find a black and yellow shirt in the final third. It's going to trickle out of play. Some pressure from Pittsburgh at the back. Herrera takes no chances, and Jamali Waite will let it ride out of play. Select, the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit www.selectsportamerica.com for the latest Select products, specials, and more. Select, the player's choice.
With the purchase of food before or after each game. Flash your Switchbacks e-ticket or coin to a bartender or server. And our official pre-game party sponsor, Streetcar 520. Valid game days only.
I'd say the first 15 minutes, we've seen 2 teams that have never played each other act like it so far, it seems like. A lot of very, I don't want to say trepidatious movement, but just a lot of, what are you going to do? And then go from there, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
you would say it better than me.
You can kind of go one of 2 ways. We're just going to be who we are and show our identity and see how it works, or let's kind of feel each other out. Let's not do anything too crazy. Let's be a little bit cautious. And I think in some ways that's what Pittsburgh Riverhounds has done. It's smart though. They're the team that's on the road. If you're the Colorado Springs Switchbacks, I think you want to be aggressive from the beginning. And they started off quick, but the Riverhounds had a few fouls in there, had a few stoppages of play that really kind of took the air out of that first 15 minutes.
Flag is up against Dequa. And Macca King will reset on a free kick. Matt Mahoney wearing the captain's armband for the Switchbacks. Of course, for those that haven't seen Colorado Springs a lot this year, no more Haji Berry, Michi Galina, all getting big contracts overseas and moving on to bigger and better things. And after the Switchbacks got a step away from going to the Cup final a season ago, losing to the eventual champions in San Antonio, it's hard to see where they're going to be in the pecking order in the West. Obviously, it's a little too early to tell, but on top of now having an injury to Zach Zandy, who are already having to deal with losing 2 of the best players we've seen recently in this league.
I think it's an encouraging start, though, at 2-1-1, and what helps with that transition is Stephen Hogan stepping in, right? So there's a lot of changes as far as player personnel, but to have that consistency of him stepping into that role, having spent so much time under Brendan Burke, I think that helps with the transition, and then you just try to grow as the season goes on. Skundrich
thought about an ambitious effort from outside of the penalty area. Pittsburgh was going to get a foul. Referee waves advantage forward. And it's floated into the path of Albert Dequa. It was the right idea through the middle by Tony Lopez, but the flag would have gone up anyway.
Well, the back line of the Switchbacks was really cerebral there. They were dropping very, very quickly to try to take away that space in behind, but then they kind of stepped at the last second, and the timing of the run was off.
Got one more Colorado first for the Riverhounds for you. Pittsburgh has actually never played a match in the state, let alone Widener Field. They've never played a competitive game here. The only time they ever played a team from Colorado was the Rapids of MLS back in the 2001 long time ago, Open Cup. Riverhounds in the second round, they won the game 2-0. Adding on to their Open Cup pedigree. Of course, the Riverhounds got an automatic bid into the third round due to the ceasing of operations for Rochester, New York FC of MLS Next Pro. Tough to see that. But the Riverhounds did get to advance. They're on the attack here. It was a decent ball into the middle. No one really took the run into the 6-yard box, but a clearance leads to a corner kick.
And they had numbers. There were 5 players in and around the penalty box, but no one committing, like you said, into that area. But I like the ball that's played there because all the defenders are retreating towards their own goal. So that's really all they can do is you either let it go, which is very dangerous, or you've got to clear it out for a corner.
A McDivitt Law Firm corner. We are in your corner. Chance here for Forbes. This is what he's known for. Picks out a decent ball. It's headed outside of the penalty area. Nearly fell for a chance for Dos Santos. Didn't hit it cleanly. And it'll have to be recycled by Luke Biasi and then Jamali Waite. Dos Santos. It's dispossessed initially by Beckford, but it's still with Pittsburgh as Forbes is able to pass it back to Pat Hogan. Ball is floated over the top, well read by Matt Mahoney, and it goes out of play for a goal kick.
Well, the way these teams are set up with the Colorado Springs Switchbacks, they're in a 3-5-2. They're in that 3-back, so the space is wide for the Riverhounds. That ball wasn't necessarily the time to find that space, and it wasn't wide enough. But that could be an area that the Riverhounds really look to exploit and try to draw those 3 center backs out of position.
Well, for the tactical nerds out there, it's been an interesting 20 minutes, but I will say that the XG expected goals so far, I'm not sure I've ever seen it this low, this late into a game. It's at a goose egg for Pittsburgh, despite maybe having a couple of half chances. It's at 0.09 for the Switchbacks. So it's been a slow start as far as chances have been concerned, that's for sure. But I think the first 3 rounds of this boxing fight have really been a feel out so far.
I think it plays to the advantage of the Riverhounds if it remains kind of a chess match, as you've mentioned, because they do have that really good defensive middle block that's really hard to penetrate. But as the game goes on, fatigue sets in, players can get a little frustrated, a little more antsy. So you would expect the gaps to get bigger as it goes, and that more chances would come as the game becomes more wide open.
Eamon Zaya, the head coach for the Northern Colorado Hailstorm, is taking another look at this free kick here. Zvetslut overcommitting here on Jairo Enriquez. Eamon Zaya had said earlier in the week before the Open Cup game here, he said I should say, talked to Brendan Burke, the former coach of the Switchbacks, of course, and said, you know, one of the advantages that the Hailstorm had coming here was that 60, 70 minutes into a game at high altitude, most teams start to tire. The Hailstorm train in this weather all the time, and they were ready for it. That's going to be interesting to keep an eye on around the hour mark for the Riverhounds. They've never experienced this before.
And that's a good point you bring out, because perhaps they want to make sure they don't fatigue. So Bob Lilly talked about it. We don't want to chase, not just because of altitude, but because of the athleticism that the Colorado Springs Switchbacks do have. If you chase and you're off just a little bit, you're going to open gaps, and the players will take advantage of that. So not chasing not only helps just to keep your shape, but also as they get into the latter parts of the game, they'll have more energy.
There's Bob on the sideline. He's had a tremendous run in this league, and with the Riverhounds, of course. The referee brings this back. Thought it was initially going to be a throw. Looks like it's going to be a free kick for the Riverhounds here. Jairo Enriquez expresses his displeasure with that. Biasi gets up. We get another look.
And that's the challenge. They're just a little bit late. The reason that's called is because there was no attempt right there to play on the ball. So that's why that was called.
Just inside the Switchbacks half, Pittsburgh gets a free kick. Biasi will take it. Tried to switch fields there. Beckford, a little bit short on the header, but well read by Christian Herrera. Ball from Lacroix to Enriquez. And again, Enriquez is harried initially by Svetslut. Nice turn by Echeverria. Mahoney. Trying to pick out a ball through that two-defender area. It's kept alive for Beckford. Ball into the middle. Possibly a push in the back. Yes, it is. Referee gives a free kick as Romario Williams tried to make some space appear in the 18-yard box. Overall, though, a good passage of play from the Switchbacks, just no end product.
Well, I think it's worth a chance there in the penalty area. You don't know if that call is going to be made, and if for some reason you're able to gain a little bit of an advantage, it could pay dividends.
That's what Deshane Beckford can do as well. Just a simple little outlet ball right on that near side, and then he can just go to work.
And that's what the Switchbacks are hoping for. They want those wing backs to be closer up to the forwards and put 4 against 4 on that back line of the Riverhounds rather than being in the back line. So the more they're pushing forward, the better for the Switchbacks in their attack.
Dequa leading the press for Pittsburgh. Besides failing in Dequa, it's been Mertz, the other Riverhound on the score sheet so far this season. Gets in the middle of it there. Got taken down by Williams, but it was a fair challenge. Lacroix. Echeverria. Williams, who stood up centrally there. The Pittsburgh back line doing their job, and they'll get a free kick out of it, and they can reset. That's what they're hoping the Switchbacks can get from Romario Williams. More of that hold-up play. He's very strong. Possibly get other players involved from there. Another Switchbacks note that should be mentioned as well. Malik Foster does get a spot on the bench tonight. He had a potentially, at the time, nasty injury in the last league game for Colorado Springs at Loudoun. They won 1-0. She talked with Stephen Hogan, and we all kind of thought it was going to be the worst case scenario for Malik, but he was back in training relatively quickly, and we might get to see him tonight, and that's a huge sign for the Switchbacks in the short term, but also in the big picture of the season.
Well, he's a player that can break in behind the back line so quickly, and it's not just about him getting in behind the back line that could really help coming into this game, but it's about the space he creates where the back line has to drop off and really give credit to that run. Then that space is developed in front as well, so it just helps the attack all around.
Skundrich, not the best touch, but he's able to keep it in his control, I should say. 2 players on him, and then he ends up committing a foul, and Mertz relieves the pressure. Scored a wonderful goal in the Open Cup. Drew Skundrich.
Just take a look at this last challenge right here. Looking to take on in the 1v1, decides to come out and potentially recycle. There looked to be a little bit of an initial tug from the Riverhounds defender, but the retaliation there just grabbing. It was Ordonez that initially did that, but then that second one is what the referee saw.
Williams was beaten to it by Dos Santos initially, and it'll stay with Pittsburgh on the near side. Still looking for our first real clear-cut chance of the game. It's been a couple of half chances, dare I say quarter chances in some regards. Not really too many threatening moments so far. Ball's looped over the top. Herrera's gonna have to be a little bit careful here, but he can let it run out of play. Sure, not the only one that sometimes holds their breath when they see a goalkeeper that far outside of the penalty area. Never know sometimes. But it was well read, I should say, by the league's leading save man so far this season in Christian Herrera. Here's Mahoney. King.
And again, the Riverhounds have a little bit lower line of confrontation where they're starting to put pressure on the switchbacks. And when that happens, the speed of play has to be fast. And that's something that I don't think we're really seeing here from the switchbacks. They're not moving the ball very quickly. So the Riverhounds are able just to stay in this really collective, good defending shape, and they're not having to shift very quickly, so the gaps aren't opening up. So for switchbacks, I'd like to see them move that even quicker if they're not going to dribble penetrate.
Speedy Williams. Triangle passing between Lacroix and King on the back end. King flares a ball into the penalty area. It looked dangerous initially, but in the end, Jamali Waite is able to get there after some good shielding by Luke Biasi. Don't miss a minute. The action in 2023, whether your club is on the road or at home, catch nearly every single second of USL Championship action on ESPN+, the home of USL, MLS, La Liga, the Bundesliga, UFC, and more. Sign up today at plus.espn.com. Back for Williams. Good ball over the top. Couldn't quite get it towards Romario Williams. That was the right idea. And in the end, actually, the flag was up. So it wouldn't have counted even if he found him. Hate to say it, but it's been a lot of that, right? Some disjointed play from both teams. Not a lot of venom or teeth into any attacks. And still a process where the X's and O's are still being put together, trying to figure each other out, it seems like.
It's been really choppy here in the first 30 minutes, and neither one of these teams have gotten into a flow of possession. And when the switchbacks have had possession, they've had a little bit more. It's been around the back, so it's not hurting the Riverhounds, and there's been a lot of fouls. So it's just really choppy in the way that it's being played, but I would assume as they go, it'll become a bit more fluid.
This is a man that can certainly open it up. It's Jairo Enriquez. Again, he can pick out a pass just too far out in front of Drew Skundrich.
The Riverhounds did really well, especially in that transition to retreat, and they go into a 5-back as well, a 5-4-1, where especially in their defending half. So the reason they do that is because they don't want those wide spaces to be open either, where the Beckford is running at you with speed with no cover. So that's really keeping the switchbacks at bay.
Beckford. Oh, lovely dummy by Skundrich. He gets it back from Williams. That's much better. Back heel for Beckford. Where did this come from? And then a late challenge allows Waite to collect as Barca in 09 breaks out here out of nowhere for the switchbacks.
And that was nice because there's interchange, there's more movement. It's not so straight up and down, not north and south. And it starts with Skundrich leaving that ball. And then look at this creativity. Beckford gets a touch into the penalty box. Much better, but a lot of players for the Riverhounds coming over and just trying to provide cover.
Boy, did that come out of nowhere or what? Magical play from the switchbacks. Beckford and company just not able to finish it off.
And Beckford had the advantage being in the penalty box. He was almost a little bit too rushed because once you're in there as an attacker, you can become more composed because no one's wanting to give away a penalty by diving in or committing a foul in that area.
Skundrich with the dummy and then the cheeky back heel as well. Maybe that's the spark to take this game up another notch or two. King looks for help. Here's Mahoney. It's the best passage of play we've seen from either side so far. Williams for Enriquez. King can certainly pick out a pass. Tries to find Segrist. Segrist kept it in with a little bit of help off a deflection from Biasi, but he ends up giving away a free kick. Bit of a miscue there initially by Lacroix. Does well to stay with it. King for Mahoney as the switchbacks move up a few steps forward as a group. Mahoney trying to switch the point of attack. This is Dikwa. In the end, Mahoney collects. Dikwa slow to get up after the end of that play. He was holding his lower back. Play continues.
And his ability to play back to goal is actually very good. And obviously that was a tough ball playing in, but it's going to be important that he holds the ball because of the defensive shape of the Riverhounds. He has to hold it so numbers can get forward. Otherwise, he's going to be 1v3 the majority of the game.
Switchbacks get a free kick. Ball had to stop rolling before Mahoney could restart the play. An incisive pass there by Williams is cut out. Canardo Forbes picks it up. He was dispossessed by Jairo Enriquez unfairly, according to the referee. Switchbacks faithful not thrilled with the decision. Pittsburgh has no complaints.
That looked like some clever defending, but I mean, who knows? Maybe there was a little tug in there. I guess we'll take a look. Yeah, a little wraparound on the right side of his body, but I mean, I think that's pretty clever. It's the way he got around there, but maybe a little bit too much of a push.
Not quite a shirt pull, to be fair, but like you said, did impede slightly the progress of Canardo Forbes. A little pitching wedge from Waite. Dos Santos. Unable to find a teammate further up the field. Albert Dikwa was closest to it. Dikwa putting a little bit of pressure on. King is able to deal with it with the help of Mahoney. Now a chance for Lacroix. Had a very, very brief moment of magic from the Switchbacks with some interplay inside the penalty area. That led to a half chance for Beckford. Other than that, both teams still trying to emerge from the early quicksand.
Well, still, the partnership of Williams and Skundrich still quite young and just figuring out how to play in that two front together. The thing about having a two front centrally is you have to play in partnership with one another. You have to have opposite movements, and that's something that certainly they're still developing this early in the season, but you could see in that moment that they created what could be and how they can connect with one another.
Here's Skundrich, harried. Beckford couldn't keep it going. It's chipped forward by Ibarra initially. Now Mahoney off a ricochet here, kept in by Beckford. After it pinballs around, Christian Herrera slows down proceedings. Williams, Lacroix. Speedy Williams for Enriquez, helped along nicely to Mahoney. Here's Beckford. 9 minutes left in the half, pending stoppage time on the back end. Nice interplay there, Beckford. Flat cross into the middle. Recycled for King. Now Lacroix. Jairo Enriquez chipping it over the top. Chance here for the Switchbacks. Echeverria. And then the shot, he's shanked wide by Skundrich, who just couldn't hit the target from a tough angle. I think he'll tell you he should have done better with that.
It was, but the ball was also bouncing into him. It was lifted off the ground, which, you know, it was a clear opportunity here. It's a great run in behind by Echeverria, and I thought he was going to go for goal himself, but he's facing the outside, and it's bouncing into Skundrich. But when they're playing in that defensive shape, this little clip ball from a deep run from midfield is a way to unbalance the back line. So it's good by the Switchbacks to recognize that and then look for that run in behind.
Couple of half chances now for Stephen Hogan's group. Forbes for Mertz. Can Pittsburgh put something together here? Chance for Dos Santos to give chase. Nice pace from Beckford to get back and help on the defensive end of things. Bit of a collision there off the ball. Beckford comes out with it. Referee allows play to continue, and then it does deflect out of play.
Fans, stick around after the match ends to watch the fireworks.
It's a foul at a free kick against Matt Mahoney. Pittsburgh get a set piece opportunity here. Wait. Flares it forward. Dos Santos gets his head onto it, and then Dikwa goes for a magical moment and loops it over the top of Herrera's goal, and he thought it was close, but it's out of play for a goal kick. I guess why not, right?
That's two moments of great awareness. First, initially, to help this ball on while they were not in a great shape in the back line. And Maka King just not able to recover. And then this is the second moment of good awareness, trying to catch him off the line. Almost does, just a little bit too much on that one.
It just hasn't been happening in the final third at all for Pittsburgh. And the acute awareness of Albert Dikwa nearly caught the Switchbacks on their heels. Enriquez. This is Mahoney. For Romario Williams, good hold-up play. Maybe too much of it in the end. Pittsburgh regained possession. Nice tackle by Mark Ibarra. Chance now for Lopez. This could be a counter-attacking opportunity here for the Riverhounds. Biasi for Lopez. Lopez has his cross attempt blocked. It's out for a McDivitt corner. Patrick Segrist thinks it's a goal kick. A set-piece opportunity for the Riverhounds here.
And now the Riverhounds are starting to get some more numbers up there with Dikwa, especially in those transition moments. We'll take a look at this corner kick earned here. It's really hard to tell there. I mean, it looked like it could have gone either way, to be quite honest, but that's something that the Riverhounds have struggled with, just not getting numbers up out of their defensive shape, but they do better on this one.
So another McDivitt corner here for Canardo Forbes to mastermind. The likes of Lopez, Dikwa, Svetsloot to aim at in bright yellow. It's in by Forbes. Oh, it's a header down. It's just flicked away, out of play by Lacroix. Not a bad effort from Arturo Ordonez, it looked like initially. And Pittsburgh will get another chance at it on the opposite end.
And it's the out-swinging corner kick, but it has enough pace on it right here that Ordonez can really get some power on it. Just flicked out of the way, and luckily not anything that Herrera had to do with this one. But it's a good opportunity. He'll go out for another corner kick, and this would be really timely for the Riverhounds if they can convert on these types of set-piece opportunities.
Pikes Peak National Bank corner on this near side. It's whipped in low and hard, but not really with much direction on it towards the player in yellow. And it'll be recycled for Dos Santos. Now Dikwa, back for Mertz, who took the corner. Robbie Mertz floats one in towards the back post. It's headed away, and Pittsburgh will settle for a throw as they begin to put on a little bit more pressure. Three minutes left in the first half. Biasi. Forbes is able to curl one towards Dos Santos. It's good defending by Deshane Beckford. They get tangled up. Beckford wins the free kick. Dos Santos not thrilled. Referee has summoned him here.
I mean, this is an obvious foul, and just the speed of Beckford is something that Dos Santos is obviously aware of and doesn't want him going the other direction at speed, but definitely no attempt to play the ball there, and we'll take a look at it, but gets dispossessed here on that first touch, and then Beckford is going to be around him. I mean, there's no attempt. I mean, it has to be a foul, and honestly, it looks like a yellow card.
There was a late little elbow there from Deshane Beckford. I think that's why the Riverhounds players came over and had a word with the referee, Ricardo Fierro.
It's going to be important to call things like that a little bit earlier so that doesn't happen. It's too early in the game for some retaliation to be going on because a game can get quickly out of hand. if those things are allowed to go on.
We just got confirmation, Casey. No one booked for that exchange. That's a little bit of a surprise.
I can't understand that. I mean, that's a clear yellow card, and then you got to look at the retaliation too, perhaps. Maybe selling it a little bit, but there was contact there right at the end. But definitely impeding someone that's going to be going beyond you should be a yellow card.
In the end, we just continue on. That was a late clearance by Herrera, with Dikwa really bearing down on him. Lives to tell the tale, the Switchbacks goalkeeper.
Jersey Mike's son for everything is real fresh. Come find us on 8th Street, just a few blocks from the stadium.
Riverhounds get a throw in deep in their own end here. As this is Albert Dikwa, who has stayed down away from the play here for Pittsburgh. Well, we didn't quite see what happened there. It was on the opposite side of the pitch. Looks like he's okay. Maybe he just needed a beat. Just joining us, not too much has happened. I hate to say that. There's been a few chances for both teams in the last few minutes. Switchbacks had some nice interplay that led to an opportunity for Beckford that was snuffed out by the Pittsburgh back line. Pittsburgh have had some opportunities of late from a couple of set pieces, but besides a Dikwa chip from about 35 yards out that went over the goal, not much to write home about yet in this one.
Well, the Bob Lilly plan, the way he has him set up, is going exactly how he would want it, I would seem, and it's slowing the game down. It's not giving any clear-cut chances to the Switchbacks, and just looking for opportunities for them going forward. He mentioned he would like to possess more in his own attacking half, but you want to make sure that you're structurally sound defensively, and he has done that, and it's really looks to be frustrating the Switchbacks.
TikTok shop stoppage time, 2 minutes at the end of the first half. I'm curious if there might be a little bit more added on for that Dikwa injury stoppage, although it didn't take too long for that to be taken care of. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. It's gotten a little physical and chippy, mostly stemming from the Dos Santos challenge, if you will, on Deshane Beckford. It was more of a hold. But no yellow flag was thrown, and there was no yellow card given either. King doesn't want to take any chances with Dikwa putting pressure on.
Be sure to get your tickets to the Switchbacks next match on.
And what I've really been impressed with is, yes, the Riverhounds have had a good defensive shape, but they're choosing proper moments to press a little higher. Right there, Dikwa does decide to press a little bit higher in chase, and it forces a turnover where they can get their team up a little bit higher and go more into the attacking half. That's hard to do because you would think, okay, if we chase, it's going to pull us out of our defensive shape, but there are cues and moments, a bad touch, a backwards pass, whatever it may be, that can allow them to step.
King, maybe one last opportunity here if the Switchbacks can get this further up the field. Mahoney tried to float it ahead. Mertz picks up the pieces. Forbes, the misplaced pass. Dikwa, though, wins it back for Pittsburgh. This could be a chance. Ibarra flares it out to this near side. It's Mertz. Mertz into the middle. Great chance. It's blocked in front. Rebound is in. Goal does not count. It was handled on the way through. It was finished off in the end by Lopez, but the goal will not stand, and it'll be a free kick for the Switchbacks.
And this was a quick turn of events here, finding the outside space. Mertz in the 1v1, decides to cut back across, play this ball on the ground, and it's a good opportunity for Ibarra, but disallowed.
Lopez ends up blocking the shot, and despite his finish, he'd already handled the ball.
I think the Riverhounds would definitely take the goal, but I think they'll also like that there are numbers forward now. We haven't seen that a whole lot in the first half, and so when there are opportunities, it's been good that they're there.
Some promise at the end of a first half that's been rather dull in the attack. Interesting overall, plenty to talk about at halftime, but it is scoreless.
Speed of play for the Switchbacks. Like, they have to move the ball quickly. They're not going to break down this back line if they don't. And really, for the Riverhounds, how can they get more numbers forward out of their defensive shape?
Riverhounds will feel pretty good so far. Switchbacks will want a little bit more in the attack. We'll see if we can find a difference maker at halftime. And the halftime coming up is brought to you by Capelli Sport. It's 0-0 at the break between the Switchbacks and the Riverhounds. Back here at the hat between the Switchbacks and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. It's sponsored by Capelli Sport, the halftime show here. It's 0-0 in the first ever meeting between Colorado Springs and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Sean St. Jacques, Casey White here with you. Let's take a look at some midweek highlights in the USL Championship. We start with Lou City and Detroit City. These two, of course, always big rivals in the Eastern Conference. No shock here with Lou City on the front foot at the end of the first half.
Yeah, and this one was really just back and forth, a corner kick opportunity there, but a great save to put it over the bar.
69th minute, more attacking from the hosts, and Lou City come close again.
And look at that run right in front. What a big-time save there for Detroit City. And then the other opportunities, obviously, to clear the ball and make sure nothing comes from it.
You're getting the point, right? Lou City, a lot of attacking. Detroit City having some trouble. Again, another close chance.
Just knocking on the door here. Another ball across. This one headed right over. They're just all around it here in this one. And then the 80th minute would come.
Wilson Harris just missed that chance earlier. He scores here.
This is a great ball in here, just keeping possession off the initial corner kick attempt. That one into that near post area, just gets it on frame, and it goes right through with all those runs in front of the keeper.
Tough one in the end for Detroit City. Couldn't quite hold on. Wilson Harris and Lou City get all 3 points at home. San Diego Loyal against FC Tulsa. This was a very interesting contest.
It really was. This is the 26th minute. A ball played across to Nick Mooney. Takes a great first touch, but Levi pulls him down in the penalty area. And it's just a great touch in behind. And so they would step up. Charlie Adams steps up with the left foot, goes for it right down the middle and just floats it a little too high off the crossbar. A missed opportunity for Loyal, who started really quick in this game.
It's always dangerous with the Panenka. You never know what's going to happen. It hits off the bar.
And he sends the goalkeeper the opposite direction. It just continues to float. So a missed opportunity for the Loyal. But 63rd minute, they would continue to possess. And right here, Adams finds a ball that breaks a lot of lines, flicks it on to Charlie Adams. And look at this ball. Goes right in behind the back line. Conway coming across, goes off of his chest and able to direct it right onto Frayne. It almost looks like it hops up and hits that arm, but it stands.
Didn't take long for a response to come, and in the end, it was Rodrigo da Costa.
In the 65th minute right here, Epps coming inside, able to find Fernandez, springing this ball wide, and a ball played in by Josef. The run across the front is what distracts the defenders, and da Costa just able to be very composed and put this away within 2 touches.
It looked like at this point Tulsa might be able to hold on to grab a vital road point. Disaster strikes in stoppage time.
Oh, and this was just heartbreaking right at the end. Nick Moon, as he did all afternoon, gets into this wide space. Not much on the cross, but Fernandez just heading it the wrong direction for the own goal. This was right at the final whistle, and that would put San Diego Loyal up 2-1.
The Loyal get all 3 points. Tough one for Tulsa to take. We'll see if they can bounce back from that later in the week. Let's take a look at the Eastern Conference standings going into tonight. We talked about Pittsburgh in third. Lucid even struggling a little bit. They're still right there as where they always tend to be.
Well, those 3 points were big today, and then the Riverhounds just 3 points out of first place. As it so often is early in the season, it's tight all the way through.
Switchbacks have also been strong this season. They're in the top 4 going into the night as well. Let's take a look at tonight's honorary healthcare professional of the match. It's Jillian Block, RNOB past partum of Centura Health. Thank you for all you've done to help our community. The healthcare professional of the match is co-sponsored by Encore Electric, along with Olson Plumbing and Heating. 0-0 at the half between the Switchbacks and the Riverhounds. We'll get to the second half coming up next. Sean and Casey back here with you. The Capelli Sport halftime report rolls on here in Colorado Springs. No score between the Switchbacks and the Riverhounds. We're looking for a breakthrough. We'll see if it comes in the second half. But in the meantime, let's take a look at the news and notes from around the USL Championship, early weeks of the season. A lot of interesting stuff has happened throughout this season's USL Championship, but also in the Open Cup as well. 20 of the 24 teams have advanced to the third round. A lot of MLS teams getting in the mix now. We'll see how the championship does with that. But of course, Birmingham Legion, Nico Brett has been phenomenal for them. And of course, as always, on ESPN2, we got a good matchup with Lou City and Miami. What stands out to you, Casey?
I'm excited to see the next round of the U.S. Open Cup. It's always exciting, and the competition is going to get so much harder, but good representation from the USL advancing.
See if Lou City can keep it rolling. Tough test with Miami coming into town. It'll be very interesting to see how those two get together. It's a postseason rematch between those two as well. Live scoreboard here. Charleston just edged in front against Hartford Athletic. Oakland rolling in Indy. How about that?
I know, that one is a big-time win right there. And then the Tampa Bay Rowdies currently up 1-0 in the 72nd minute. That's big for them at the start of this season.
No question about that. 0-0 here at Widener Field. Big second half upcoming. We'll do highlights, stats, and then the second half kick here in Colorado Springs. Pelly Sport halftime report here in Colorado Springs. Sean St. Jacques, Casey White, happy to have you with us. Looking for the breakthrough between Colorado Springs and Pittsburgh. Fans awaiting it here at Widener Field as well. And before we get to the second half kick, let's recap the first half with first half highlights. And Casey, in this first half, we start by looking at some Switchbacks attacks.
This has been an absolute chess match, but the Switchbacks did get the early attacks. Williams right here, looking for the left-footed shot, just gets around it too much, not able to test weight in goal. But it was better as there was some connection between the front runners here with Enriquez and also Skundrich, but not able to get that on frame.
Couple of moments of interplay here from the Switchbacks, and they came close a couple of times, but not really a clear-cut chance. This might be the best passage of play they had, though.
Well, there was actually space there in the transition where Skundrich has a little creativity, finds Beckford, repays the favor, but Beckford has 4 players around him, not able to have any end product on it, but more interchange there from the front few.
Well, shades of tiki-taka from Barca out of nowhere, really. This was the first big, vibrant moment of the game. It was a beautiful move, but again, Deshane Beckford just didn't have enough time in the end to really get an opportunity to get past Jamali Waite in goal. And the Switchbacks, at this point, were in somewhat of an ascendancy.
And Echeverria makes that run from a late midfield position. When there's that back 5 there, they were trying to figure out ways to get in behind. He does well here, gets it on the left foot, but instead of going himself, plays it back to Skundrich, just not able to connect cleanly on the shot.
Pittsburgh had a couple of opportunities in the latter stages of the first half, but nothing really to write home about yet in this one. Most of them came from set pieces.
Forbes with the service there, Ordonez rising above, and it's Lacroix that just tries to get it out of the dangerous area. It goes right off of his head, just a little bit of a reaction. Herrera can't come across to save the corner kick.
Halftime stats here, no shots on target like we talked about between both teams. 3 shots each, but for the most part, blunt edge in the attack has kind of been the order of the day so far.
And the possession tilted all the way to the Switchbacks, which was very obvious from watching the first half, 67% to 33%. And if you're the Riverhounds, I would be fine with this right now because there's really nothing clear-cut on your goal, but the Switchbacks will want to look to try to translate it more in the attacking third.
A few isolated moments for both teams, but we're still looking for that first goal ever between these two in their first ever meeting. It's going to be interesting to see if we see any alterations. Plenty to go to on the bench here, but as we take a look around, not too many alterations it looks like, if any. But again, Pittsburgh, it took them some time, right? They were sitting back, they were absorbing some pressure, although they didn't have to absorb a lot of it, to be fair. Then, the final few minutes, they opened up a little bit through set pieces, but you saw the likes of Mertz, Ibarra, and others, Lopez as well, getting involved in the attack.
Well, and I think that's the question is how much does Bob Lilly's squad and his staff want them to try to get more numbers forward? How are they going to build into the attack with that 5-4-1 defensive shape in their own half? How are they going to get numbers around Dequa? It started to happen a little more, like you said, as the half went on. But still, are they going to want to do that, or are they wanting to stay? Right now, they're frustrating the Switchbacks, and they're not able to create opportunities. So it's working.
Stephen Hogan's group likes to press and then repress. We haven't really seen a lot of that. And Bob Lilly's tactical side of things has really won the day so far. It seems like, at least in the first 45 minutes.
Right, and really they haven't been to press or repress very much because they've had 67% possession. So they've had a lot of the ball. So hopefully for them, they're hoping, let's move the ball quicker and really try to draw out the defenders for the Riverhounds.
Moments away from the start of the second half. We just gave you the out-of-town scores here. Hartford actually just equalized after we put that graphic up. So it's now 2-2 for those that have been flipping around the ESPN Plus games here in the USL Championship. And we are ready to get things back underway here at Widener Field at the start of the second half. Both of these two teams trying to find the breakthrough that could either really open this game up and give them an advantage and potentially lead to 3 points. Riverhounds now from left to right in their black and yellows. And we are back underway here at Widener Field in Colorado Springs. Ball is sent forward by Macca King. In the first 10, 15 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes of the game, not much to write home about. Then the Switchbacks were able to get into a bit of a rhythm, I should say. Got into a bit of a groove. They created a couple of decent opportunities. And again, no shots on target for either side. It took about 42 minutes for Pittsburgh to really create a chance, even a half chance. And that's where we stand at the moment. 0-0 as Switchbacks work from a set piece. Ibarra from Lopez, and it's going to be brought back here for a Riverhounds free kick. Were there any halftime changes? I didn't see any. I just wanted to check. Back for Jamali Waite. That was not the best of first touches. Romario Williams poked it away. But in the end, Drew Skundrich was not in position to really profit. And it's out of play for a Pittsburgh throw.
And is this quickly that the Switchbacks can press a little bit higher? We were just talking about their pressing, and Waite takes a big touch, but Williams able to condense that space rather quickly.
Lopez. Near side, Biasi. Trying to deal with Segrist initially. Poor touch from Robbie Mertz. Ooh, and he follows through there. Referee goes to the back pocket. This could be a straight red card. Here it is. Robbie Mertz has been sent off 2 minutes into the second half. It looked to be a high boot as he was overextending himself after the touch. Jairo Enriquez stays down, and Pittsburgh are down to 10 men for the remainder as Robbie Mertz is gone.
And this could be completely game-changing, and you've got to think the Riverhounds are going to sit even more now. You can take a look. It's just too big of a touch right there. Come across, and yes, the cleats are up. That's obvious, and it's high up the leg of Henriquez, and it's just this big touch right here, trying to keep possession. It gets away from him, and then he tries to recover. I'm not surprised by the straight red on that one.
It's a red card sponsored by Diversis Health, Mental Health, and Well-Being for All. Remember to take a moment to breathe. Robbie Mertz will have plenty of time to do that, as he is done for the night. And now the Switchbacks have just been presented a massive opportunity here. Up a man and with an opportunity to pounce.
And what we can expect to see is that possession to go even more towards the Switchbacks. If you're the Riverhounds, you're thinking, okay, now we really have to stay tight and compact. We have to stay back. Let them possess in front of us. Do not allow them to get in between. Let's continue to frustrate the Switchbacks' attack. So now that speed of play, even more so. I don't think it changes a lot of what happens for either team or what they need to do, but it could become easier for the Switchbacks.
Skundrich flared a ball into the middle. It was dealt with. Nice little back heel there by Dikwa in traffic. And Lopez is fouled. Well, we were hoping a goal was going to open up this game, but it could potentially be a sending off that sees this game go up a couple of notches. We'll have to wait and see.
And even more so for the Riverhounds, they're going to have to be really cerebral in how they gain space up the field like that, drawing that foul, being really smart, getting their body in front. But also when they have set pieces, now delivery and execution is going to become even more important, because those might be the only opportunities, or perhaps a quick counterattack to try to steal one here.
Plenty for Bob Lilly and his staff to think about now here. So they're going to have to play down a man for the remainder of proceedings. 40+ minutes here. Down to 10. It's always an interesting discussion because, like you said, Casey, sometimes when there's a sending off, the game doesn't necessarily change as much as people think it does, especially when Pittsburgh were already kind of absorbing the pressure from the Switchbacks already and didn't have too much to deal with.
And sometimes you find when it happens that every single person on the team, like the Riverhounds that has had the red card, just steps it up a little bit. Like there's that extra industriousness. They know they're going to have to cover more space. So it can become hard. And then the mental game of the team that has the advantage getting frustrated. And I don't think we've necessarily seen that from the Switchbacks yet, but we could, because I think the Riverhounds will definitely sit in even more now.
Oh, Romario Williams has been booked here. Another Diversis Health, this time a yellow card, Mental Health and Well-Being for All. Remember to take a moment to breathe. That happened, I think, off of our screen and the initial look at it. The Switchback striker is in the books. That'll be worth keeping an eye on as this game progresses. He's been in the middle of that. The ball is flared across the face of goal. This is Dos Santos for Pittsburgh on the attack. Forbes does have Ibarra and Ordonez for company. Ordonez has played in every minute this season, by the way, for Pittsburgh. Hasn't missed any time. as Dos Santos tries to salvage what was a pass that ended up being too far out in front of him, and it's a goal kick.
This is the last opportunity, just trying to get forward. Dos Santos trying to put pressure on Mahoney and was not able to try to earn a corner kick there.
And if you missed the beginning of the second half, Robbie Mertz was sent off a straight red card for a high boot challenge on Jairo Enriquez. So the Riverhounds are down to 10 for the rest of the game. They get the ball here. Albert Dikwa off a takeaway, and Maka King is dragging him down here. Has to be a booking, surely it is. Maka King drags down Albert Dikwa.
It's such an interesting space there to make that decision because it's so close to goal. These are those set pieces that the Riverhounds are going to want, but he's able to separate right here. That's all Maka King could do, but he had a recovering defender, so was it necessary? I don't know. I mean, they were able to recover. Lacroix was coming right around there. Of course, you don't want Dikwa going in on your goal, but they had recovered quite quickly.
Versus Health yellow card. Mental health and well-being for all. Remember to take a moment to breathe. Canardo Forbes will take it. Decent set piece opportunity here for Pittsburgh. Christian Herrera making sure his team is as organized as possible for this. 10 men of Pittsburgh with an opportunity here to strike. Forbes plays it short. Ibarra, and it's flared back in, and it goes over the top and out. Well, that could have been a lot more venomous than it turned out. In the end, Pittsburgh wastes an opportunity from a really good set-piece position.
You can see the thought process because the back line's going to drop initially, but it just doesn't make sense. With the conditions of the game the way they are, you want to put as much pressure on the back line and the goalkeeper at the moment.
Lacroix. King over to Mahoney. Mahoney can certainly flare those passes in there. It's exactly where he wanted to put it, I think, but Deshane Beckford couldn't get there. I think he ended up getting out-muscled by Dos Santos on the run-in. Bob Lilly did mention to us at quite some length about the pace that he was worried about on the edges for the switchbacks. Deshane Beckford came up multiple times in his talk with us earlier this week, Casey, and he's only had a couple of moments. I think Bob Lilly's got to feel like that's a win so far as the outside speed that the switchbacks have at their disposal.
He has some built-in safety nets there, you know, making sure that Dos Santos is not all by himself against Beckford in like a four-back. So having the three center backs is a big part of making sure that they can kind of stabilize and neutralize that speed on the outside.
Brief chance for Lopez gets wiped out. Riverhounds regain possession, but only for a moment, as Segrist plays it for Jairo Enriquez. This is where the Riverhounds could be stretched here. Chance for Williams, and he lets it run too far in front. But it's picked back up here by Deshane Beckford. Beckford with a couple of step-overs, and he stood up by Dos Santos, who's helped out by Forbes.
And that's the built-in safety net, you know, I'm really referring to is either Forbes coming back or Ordonez coming across. There's automatic cover in the wide space every time someone gets the ball out there, and that's really neutralized that speed so far. But the more the game goes on, especially if they're transitioning, it could become open.
Nice ball for Segrist, whose cross is blocked. Deflected out for a switchbacks corner.
This corner kick is brought to you by Pikes Peak National Bank.
It's a nice play from Segrist there to win a set-piece opportunity. Pikes Peak National Bank corner. Bank well, be well, cheer loud. Jairo Enriquez will take it. Looped in towards the back post. Oh, it was nearly a chance for Maka King, of all people. But he didn't anticipate it was going to fall to him, and that ended up deflecting out of play. Could have been a real chance for the defender. Headed forward by Pat Hogan for Pittsburgh, who are down to 10 men. All floated forward. Matt Mahoney controls for the Switchbacks. Now Maka King can get Echeverria into the play. Here's Speedy Williams. Skundrich for Mahoney. Back for Skundrich, who tried to thread it through for Romario Williams, and the Venus flytrap snatched it away.
But that's the space that the Switchbacks can take advantage of. Anytime Henriquez or Skundrich get in that half space right in front of the back line, between the back line and the midfield, they've been able to find little gaps. That one was snuffed out really well, but that's a space that I think that if they can get there, they can manipulate and try to find Beckford in behind, or even Williams, essentially.
Speedy Williams for Mahoney. Deshane Beckford. Ends up, I think, trying to shoot there. I wasn't sure if that was a pass or a shot. In the end, it's nothing.
I'll take that all day if I'm the Riverhounds, because it's not dangerous, right? They know they're going to concede some of those opportunities. It's which ones do they want to give up, not the clear-cut ones.
Paco Cragg leads Miami FC into Kentucky to face Josh Winder and the reigning Eastern Conference champions Louisville City FC. Don't miss the start of the new season on the USL, on ESPN, Saturday, May 13th, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2, Lou City and Miami FC. Sean St. Jacques, Casey White, our entire crew. Widener Fields in Colorado Springs, Colorado. First ever meeting between the Switchbacks and the Riverhounds. We're still waiting for a decisive moment in this game. Pittsburgh is down to 10 men. Robbie Mertz was sent off 2 minutes into the start of the second half for a high challenge on Jairo Henriquez. And that's been the biggest moment of the game so far. This is Mahoney trying to chip it in. It was well dealt with by Svetslut. And then Dequa doing all he can. Pittsburgh a man light just to try to hold up the play. In the end, it's headed back into the waiting arms of Jamali Waite. I think the flag might have gone up anyway in that situation. About Albert Dequa earlier. He was the Week 2 Player of the Week in the USL Championship. His hat trick, of course, against Memphis, sitting on 19 Riverhounds goals for his career. He would join a pretty special list of Pittsburgh players when he gets his 20th. Just shows you how many great players Pittsburgh has had and how many they've had under Bob Lilly. Switchbacks on the attack here. Jairo Henriquez trying to find some space after a good initial run from Lacroix. Mahoney resets as we approach the hour mark. Here's more from Mahoney. Now Beckford. Henriquez couldn't get the return through Arturo Ordonez to try to get it back for Beckford.
And the more that the Switchbacks establish this possession, you're going to see space in front when they get closer to the penalty area. So a shot from distance, while they might not score on it, they may, but they might not. They should probably look into taking some of those, because that means someone's going to have to step out eventually. And then when they step out, then you try to find that space in the gaps or in between the back line. It's so hard to play against a team that's down a player, because they do just tend to sit back and hope that you do, score a worldie from 30 yards. And if they do, they'll, tip the hat to you.
Get a nice closing down there on Deshane Beckford, who's a little slow to get up here. He's actually looking at the assistant referee looking for a foul. I think he was holding on to the side of his face there. Here comes a change for the Switchbacks, and we do get to see Malik Foster get back on the field. Great to see that for the Switchbacks. Stephen Echeverria is going to take his place. Substitution is brought to you by William J. Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. Learn more at hibblecenter.org. Maybe that could be the spark that Stephen Hogan's group is looking for. More of that pace. We'll see if Malik Foster can become a factor in proceedings. Again, Pittsburgh are down to 10. And really, that normally invites the team that's up a man to really attack, but again, just haven't seen the end product.
Right, and with Malik Foster coming in, normally where he can come in and really impact is when there's a lot of space, right? There's not a lot of space in this game, but his first few steps are really quick. He's going to be fresh coming into the game, and also he can press from the front. So when the Riverhounds do have the ball deep in their end with those fresh legs and his athleticism, can he press and put them under pressure and perhaps steal one there?
Lovely ball from Dequa. That might have been handled off a ricochet by Biasi. Referee did in the end blow his whistle. It took a second. Herrera got there anyway. It's a free kick. I think there was a brief moment where the Switchbacks weren't sure if the whistle had gone. Brief moment of panic ensued, I think, but Herrera reacted the quickest.
Number 4, Danny Rivera replaces number 6, Nathan Dos Santos.
Pittsburgh looks like are readying a couple of changes. Dos Santos is going to come off. Daniel Rivera, he's going to come on here. Dos Santos put in a pretty good shift. Rivera replaces him. Tony Lopez is also going to be brought off here. And that means we're going to see Tola Shoanmi come on for the Riverhounds. It is a double switch for Bob Lilly's group, both brought to you by William J. Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. Ball over the top here. Malik Foster trying to get on to the end of it. It's cushioned out, and it will be a McDivitt Law Firm corner for Colorado Springs. Beautiful sunset here in scenic Colorado Springs. Fans have been in anticipation of a breakthrough moment. Could it come here from this Segrist set piece? All this curled in. There was a bit of a drag down in the middle of the penalty area. It's still loose. Nearly fell for Beckford and then Foster. And Enriquez with a very ambitious volley from well outside the penalty area, and it comes nowhere near the goal.
There was a little bit of a scramble in the penalty area. The initial service, not extremely dangerous, but bouncing around a lot, but Riverhounds survived that one.
So we do see Malik Foster come on. That'll be interesting to see how he acclimates. Danny Rivera is someone we normally see in the starting lineup for Bob Lilly's group. He's a veteran presence. And Tola Shoanmi gets a big opportunity here to make an impact for Pittsburgh.
And with those subs, it's shifted Dequa out to the right, so he's been in more of a defensive position with Shoanmi going into that center forward role. So a little different look defensively and perhaps in how they counterattack when they win possession.
Initial touch there from Rivera. Shoanmi takes a shot, and it's well positioned in the end to be saved by Christian Herrera. That's a good start, though, from the substitute, getting involved right from the jump. Now the Switchbacks look to counter. Romario Williams will keep it in possession via a throw. Enriquez juggling it through traffic, finding a cross, and it's headed centrally, but cleared by Canardo Forbes. Nearly something out of nothing there from the Switchbacks. Here's Speedy Williams with 25 minutes of the 90 still to play. Lacroix. Sent over by King to the captain Mahoney. Beckford stays on his feet. Lovely little back heel from Foster. Skundrich helps it on. Maybe a little bit too far for Mario Williams to Segrist. But he keeps it in.
And you can see little moments of trying to manipulate the back line where they're almost able, the Switchbacks, to get it through. But the Riverhounds have so many people around the ball that even though they might step out of position, they've recovered well.
Lacroix. And again, here's Foster. Switches the point of attack to Matt Mahoney. slicing a ball through towards the penalty area before it was dealt with. Again, Pittsburgh are down to 10. Robbie Mertz was sent off at the very start of the second half, just about 2 minutes into it, for a straight red card on a challenge high boot on Jairo Enriquez. Switchbacks again with the man advantage, trying to create opportunities here. King.
And what you're asking of your Switchbacks team in this kind of situation is to move the ball quickly, or you have to dribble penetrate. When you dribble penetrate, it draws someone out. But it's when do you do what? And that's the hard part about it, because no one from the Riverhounds really wanting to step out unless you become threatening off the dribble. That's something that the Switchbacks haven't really been able to do.
That ball is too far out in front of Albert Dequa.
Colorado Springs Sports Corporation is a driving force.
And it's right back into the field of play by Duke Lacroix.
Pikes Peak region. Learn more, visit coloradospringssports.org.
Colorado Springs came into the night 4th place in the Western Conference on 7 points. Bob Lilly's group 3rd place in the East coming into the night. Talked about Bob Lilly, his team trying to do better on the road this season. They're going to be on the road quite a bit coming up. 7-9. Beginning of this season is a tough stretch for the Riverhounds to go through. They've handled it rather well so far, and if they can get a result here tonight, you can really put a stamp on that. It's a little bit of a ways to go, and again, they are down a man, but as you mentioned earlier, and again, not to belabor the point, they've been set up well, as we expect from Bob Lilly teams. And this is where they've been trying to improve against not only Western Conference opponents, but road opponents in general.
Well, and he made that a statement when he talked to us about just the 7 of 9 games on the road, making that a goal of the team, that how do they handle those situations. So they're set up tactically because of the way the Switchbacks play. That's one thing that you got to think about. You're also on the road. You're also at altitude. Like, there's a big tactical approach to this game. Then you've got the red card. It kind of exacerbates it, but they're really tactically sound here defensively, and it makes sense.
Enriquez tries from some distance out. It's well over the top of Jamali Wade's goal. Not a bad effort, but very, very difficult to score from there. Seen a couple of those moments where the Switchbacks almost run out of ideas and then settle for shots like this.
Well, if that's the space you're being given, why not? What you got to think is, if we do that, maybe they're a little nervous. Next time they'll step out. Now I can have a little bit of deception to play around them, go in the 1v1. But if you never take that shot from distance, the Riverhounds aren't even having to respect that space in front. So I think that's good from Enriquez, not only just to try to score, but to manipulate them stepping out of that space.
Chance there for Mark Ibarra to create something there for Pittsburgh. He was dispossessed, and now Deshane Beckford turns on the Jets through 3 defenders here. Mario Williams had an opportunity there, couldn't corral it in time to really force the play forward. Here's Segrist. King. Coming down on 20 minutes of the 90 left. Speedy Williams. Mahoney has space here. Flicks it into the path of Enriquez, who's dispossessed. And Speedy Williams recycles. Here's Lacroix. Mahoney. Skunrich. Oh, it's a lovely push and chase by Deshane Beckford. Foster misses and then blocks the chance for Segrist. Oh! Even he's shocked. Foster had it on a plate. It was brilliantly done by Beckford. And then after Foster missed, he blocked Siegrist. Well, sometimes the net just seems to be on the front of the goal.
Yeah, that was just insane how it didn't go in. You wonder, how did that just happen? I mean, it was such good play in the wide space. It's the one time that they have found space out there.
Now Pittsburgh, Forbes. Across the face, nobody there. Dikwa was too far away. Shounmi had made a run that was much more forward towards the front post. Now we're starting to see it open up. Malik Foster, but it's well read by Jamali Waite, and he corrals. Another look at this jaw-dropping sequence. Still not sure how it didn't go in.
And it goes past two players there, and then Siegrist looking at Foster. But look at this by Beckford, just using his pace to get in behind. It's a great ball across. No one leaves their feet on the front two runs, and then Siegrist just can't believe it, and I can't, to be quite honest with you, because everything seemed right about that sequence, and you would think they'd be up 1-0 right now.
Unreal moment. Sometimes it's just not your night. Switchbacks miss a huge, huge opportunity there. By far the best chance of the night. Beckford again. Foster with the holdup. Spun around for Amario Williams, who couldn't quite corral it. Speedy Williams retakes possession. Matt Mahoney, knifing it through, great turn, Waite saves, was he dragged back? Yes, it's a penalty. Foster tried to complete the move, but he was pulled down by his shirt, and the Switchbacks will get a spot kick.
I mean, that ball from Mahoney, unbelievable. Not only on a diagonal, but breaks a line of so many defenders. Not only is the pass unbelievable, look at this turn. Under pressure, and all Hogan could do was pull his shirt. Otherwise, Foster almost would have walked that in, if not for a big save from Waite or something. But that's the right call there, and great work from Foster.
The substitute creates a huge, huge opportunity here. Malik Foster, who won the penalty, looks to be the one who's going to take the penalty here. Maybe a little bit of gamesmanship there in the middle from Arturo Ordonez to give something else in front of Malik Foster to think about. Trevor Svetslut in that whole sequence picked up a Diversis Health yellow card as well. Big moment here with 16 minutes left. Pittsburgh down to 10. Referee will hold it up here. Another yellow card has been brandished here. Well, I think this has been changed. I think Svetslut now does not have a yellow. So the yellow card has been changed. We'll get confirmation on who that went to in a moment. We'll come back to that. First this. Malik Foster, who won the penalty, takes the crucial spot kick for the Colorado Springs Switchbacks, and he Panenkas it, and it's saved by Jamali Waite. Goodness gracious me.
It's just too much song and dance, that slow step up. I mean, you have got to be sure that this is going to make Waite go somewhere. It's just a huge missed opportunity there from Foster.
The Switchbacks will be kicking themselves if they can't get a goal after those two missed opportunities.
And I can understand doing that in a penalty kick shootout when, you know, goalkeepers are diving left and right, but anytime I see someone go with like a 2-yard step up, usually it's for power. And I think he was hoping that Waite was thinking the same thing and was going to commit before, but Waite just stood there and said, nope, let's see, and I'm going to make the save.
Unreal moment. Jamali Waite is able to hold his nerve. And after Malik Foster blocked the Patrick Siegrist attempt, he can't convert from the penalty spot. He's going to try again. Can't quite get through the back line. Beckford's ball across is deflected out. And it's a McDivitt Law Firm corner. Another look at this penalty.
And just look at the cadence, just how slow this walk-up is. You're not going to generate any power on this, and I think that's probably what Waite is thinking is, how's he going to get power off of this? I'm just going to see what he does and see if he decides to be cheeky, and this is a complete waste of an opportunity. Look, Waite's able to go the opposite way and still get back, and there's not any power on that shot when he's able to do that.
Even the walk-up was a bit peculiar, wasn't it?
It was. I've seen slow walk-ups. That was different.
Patrick Segrist will take the corner. Ball is whipped in, and it is headed away. Is that a change? Ball is looped into the middle here for Williams. Not quite able to get onto it. There was a change there as Beckford was taken out, and Aaron Wheeler was brought on for the Switchbacks to change up the attack. Well, the Switchbacks have no complaints here. Up a man, they've had 2 huge opportunities, haven't converted them. Now Dikwa on the other end as Pittsburgh try to snatch the points. Goes all the way through to Biasi. Forbes is upside next to him. Ibarra takes aim, and it's very, very ambitious. Not troubling Herrera. What a very odd evening at Widener Field it's been.
That's a nice way to put that. Yeah, it has been. And that's 2 Panenkas tonight in the USL Championship.
Yes, we saw the one at halftime in San Diego. Yes.
Exactly, and Charlie Adams did that one for San Diego. They ended up still getting the result, so we'll see what happens here. But that one at least sent the goalkeeper the opposite way. It just floated. This one just was so slow with no pace on it that really Waite didn't have to do anything.
Pittsburgh looks to be heading back to the bench here. A couple of changes upcoming. First one, looks like it's going to be Ibarra who makes way. Ilal Osumanu is going to come on in his place. And Joe Farrell is going to come on as well for the Riverhounds, so it's a double change here. Both of them are brought to you by the William J. Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center. So again, Bob Lilly trying to hold firm, maybe snatch the points, might get an opportunity, you never know. The Switchbacks will try yet again to breach the net. Speedy Williams. Some space for Skundrich. Romario Williams over the top. Svetslut had his head on a swivel. Another chance here. Foster. Segrist back in the middle. There it is. There it is. Romario Williams scores for the Switchbacks with 10 minutes to go. They finally score and take the lead by a goal to nil. Long awaited, but it did come.
And you can almost sense the relief. I mean, literally dancing after that goal. The wide spaces have become more available because of the lack of numbers from the Riverhounds. And Foster doing a great job getting that ball wide. This is just textbook the way this happens. Look at the run from Foster. It's a great run. It pulls players out, finds Segrist. This ball with pace on the ground. And Romario Williams does such a good job just redirecting that on net. What a great goal.
Second goal of the season for Romario Williams. He now leads the Switchbacks. Huge moment. Goal presented by Century Casinos. Welcome to the winner's zone. Could be the moment that sees the Switchbacks, after all of that crazy moments, to just get to that point, get the 3 points. But the Switchbacks still have defending to do here. That's a free kick. And Pittsburgh will try to respond again. They're down a man. They've been down a man for 40 minutes now.
And the Switchbacks need to be careful. Macca King's already on a yellow card, so doing anything they can to try to get fouls, things like that, that would even this up quickly, allow them to get more numbers forward is going to be important. But the delivery piece is going to have to be important on these set pieces.
Set piece here for the Switchbacks to deal with. It's up for grabs. Herrera punches it away. Crucially, chance to maybe recycle this through Rivera. Rivera lofts it in, chance to flick it on. Initially was Shounmi who got his head to it. I think there's a Switchbacks player down behind the play. Looks like it's Macca King. And the Switchbacks will be able to reset here. Riverhounds still showing a threat, though, in these latter stages. Now they do have to come out of their shell.
Fans, be sure to stop by the concessions and warm up with our Big Kid hot dog over at the Voodoo Lounge. Or grab a kid's lunchbox from Bristol.
And now the Switchbacks have to try and see this out. They do have the man advantage. And finally have their goal as well. Twisting, turning road to get to it. They might get another chance at it here. The whistle is going to bring this back, it looks like. Wheeler is penalized for that, it looks like.
And I would expect the Switchbacks to try to find some of those longer balls and also just try to move the ball really quickly, because now the Riverhounds have to chase. They have to, if they want to try to get back in it, they have to chase. They have to try to dispossess higher up the field and really hope for some set pieces or a counter-attacking situation where they can get numbers forward. They just sit back. I mean, what's the difference losing 1-0 or 2-0 if you give up another goal? So I'd expect them to come out, and the Switchbacks need to be really attuned to that to see if they can get that second goal and put it away.
Jairo Enriquez is bundled over by Svetslu, who is going to be booked this time. He was booked earlier, it was retracted. He now is officially in the book. Well, you have to say, on the Pittsburgh side of things, they've done well to stay in the game despite being down a man, but Switchbacks maybe should have had at least 2 in this second half, maybe 3.
Right. Right.
That might be something Bob Lilly's a little bit concerned about going forward if they can't get back into this and get a result.
Yeah, and it is, but it's been an interesting game where they really have executed in a lot of ways the game plan very well, especially dealing with the red card, but Switchbacks, as they should be, were knocking on the door. It's almost one of those games where you don't think they're ever going to get the goal, but they finally did, and it was pretty clinical with Williams coming through the penalty area.
Backheeled here for Forbes. Good ball across. Shounmi's header wasn't directed into the right area. And now the Switchbacks try to counter. That's going to be a foul. It's going to be a free kick. And it is going to be a yellow card for Arturo Ordonez. The Diversis Health yellow card. And here's the challenge on Wheeler.
And just a professional foul in the middle of midfield. Just wants to allow his teammates to get back behind the ball and make sure they don't put the game away too early.
Pittsburgh will make another change. Langston Blackstock is going to come on here. And I think Svetslu has been the one that has been taken off shortly after picking up that yellow card. Here's the confirmation of the Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center substitution for Pittsburgh with 5 minutes of the 90 remaining, and we'll have some stoppage time on the back end, more than likely. This is Herrera. As the Switchbacks fans finally have something to sing about in that home end. It could be very crucial 3 points early in this season for Colorado Springs. But do the Riverhounds have a late reply in their bones here? Rivera, patient, poking it through. It nearly fell for Forbes. The flag was up.
And the Riverhounds with the substitution have gone to a 4-back, 2 in the middle, and then 3 up high. Shawonmi's gone out to the left, Dequa back to center forward, and Blackstock has come on this right side because they've got to push. And so they're going to leave a lot of that space in the middle third of the field open, but it makes sense these last 5 minutes just to get more players going at the back line of the Switchbacks.
Williams, the goal scorer, is brought down. Took the referee a second there. It is a booking for Rivera and a free kick.
I'm not sure if it was the initial push, the kick after, kicking the ball away, or maybe a combination of both that granted the yellow card there, but Rivera gets one nonetheless.
Another Diversus Health yellow. So we'll see if the Switchbacks will try to maybe put this away, get a chance on target, or if they try to maybe use a little bit of clock here. Stephen Hogan is having a word, it looks like, with Duke Lacroix on the near side to talk strategy. Romario Williams with the late goal has the Switchbacks in position for 3 big points. Switchbacks are getting a sub ready. We'll get to that when they make it. Here's King. Trying to float it forward with off the back of Biasi, who didn't quite read that right. Now a chance for some hold-up play. Shawonmi trying to switch the point of attack and get a ball forward here for Blackstock to chase, but it's cleared out of play. Pittsburgh do hold on to it deep in the Switchbacks end here.
If only there weren't extra balls right on the sideline. That would have given some extra time, of course.
And a sub as well. Jairo Enriquez is going to leave us. And for some defensive stability, Jimmy Ockford is going to come on and try and see out these 3 points for Steve Hogan's group. Another Hibble Sports Medicine and Performance Center change. There is a throw in to defend for Jimmy Ockford and company. Shawonmi's ball in, comes up short, and Herrera holds on to it. Osumanu's ball, I should say, into the middle of the penalty area. Easy for Christian Herrera. Romario Williams ends up passing it into no man's land. Throw in for Pittsburgh as we are in the 90th minute. And now the Riverhounds really need to see a decent chunk of stoppage time come up here. They're going to have a chance of equalizing. They did score late against Miami last time out in the league to salvage a point. This time they are down a man, and we just haven't seen the vibrant Riverhounds attack that we've come accustomed to seeing. Of course, the second half, a big part of that was the red card, but I didn't see a lot of that in the first half either. It's a foul kick, I should say.
And to be fair, the Switchbacks have really done well to kind of take the air out of the game since that goal did happen. I mean, that's just what they were hoping for, was that goal, because they are up the player, and now they're drawing fouls. Now the Riverhounds are the ones getting frustrated and having to push the game, and that really plays into the favor of the Switchbacks having the 1-0 lead already.
Skundrich putting some pressure on Shawonmi. There is going to be 4 added minutes at the end of this one, brought to you by TikTok Shop. So we'll see if the Riverhounds can rally here to salvage a point. It's been a very peculiar night of USL Championship soccer, but one that could see the Switchbacks pick up a really important victory against a tough team in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, this is big. I mean, there was a lot in this game, and tactically, the Riverhounds made it very challenging for the Switchbacks. And so if they do finish this off and come out with 3 points, it's a big win. And just being able to continue to knock on the door and create at least one chance, you know, that really was point blank right in front.
Ball is headed towards the penalty area. Maka King takes a mighty swing to clean it out of the penalty area. 1 minute of the minimum of 4 has been played. This could be a chance here for the Riverhounds. It's crossed into the middle. It's deflected out. It's a Pittsburgh corner. And an opportunity for Bob Lilly's group to really get some numbers forward here. They haven't had too many opportunities to do that tonight. It's a Pepsi corner. Canardo Forbes will send one into the penalty area for Pittsburgh. Biasi back for Forbes. Goes to the near post. It was a chance for Blackstock. It's deflected back out for another Pepsi corner.
And why not have everyone up there? I would be shocked if we're not seeing everyone get in the box, even honestly, including the goalkeeper. Why not? You may not get another opportunity like this in the final third. You got to take advantage of it and put as much pressure on the Switchbacks as possible.
Jamali Waite stays further back up the pitch. 2 minutes left. Forbes will try again. It's lofted in right towards goal, and Christian Herrera makes the catch. It's about as easy as he would have hoped for.
Well, and there's 3 people that weren't even up there, including the goalkeeper, and I don't understand that in those final moments because he had no pressure on him when that service came across.
Waite collects. Well, there was a bit of a tangled up play there. Wheeler and Farrell getting involved. Couple of pushes and shoves after the fact. Referee just gives Pittsburgh a free kick. And we're into the final minute, just about, of the 4 added on. Mario Williams scoring the goal that could be enough to get the Switchbacks all 3 points. It came in the 80th minute. It's a shoulder down from Williams. Referee brings it back. It's a free kick. Blackstock and company really can't dwell on this too much. They've got to get this into the penalty area. And now Williams goes down.
This is that last confrontation right here. I don't know, I think that's a pretty light call, to be honest, and why Williams is probably a bit upset with that call. I mean, he does go for the body first, but, you know, at this level, I can't see that being a foul.
Williams then runs back into place after briefly hitting the deck. Steve Hogan barking orders in the background there, making sure everyone's in place. Jamali Waite will take the set piece. It's lofted into the penalty area. It's headed away by Wheeler. And that might very well be that. Will Pittsburgh still have enough time? They're not in as much of a hurry as maybe they should be. Now they get it in. One last roll of the dice. It's lofted in, it's a chance! And Dikwa was so close to it, it was headed out of his path. That was a real opportunity. Switchbacks do enough to clear it out. Rivera throws it right back in. It's sliced back out for another throw. There's still a little bit of time left, it appears, for the Riverhounds to rescue this. Rivera into the penalty area. Blackstock not able to really size it up. And then there is another yellow card brandished here at the tail end of the play, and it's a red in the end. Looks like that was Shounmi. It appears, we'll wait confirmation, or maybe it was Ordonez, who has already been booked in this game. I'll tell you what, I think it is Arturo Ordonez for a second yellow card. It's a Diversus Health red card. Pittsburgh are down to 9 at the end, and that is probably the last straw here tonight for a Riverhounds rescue act.
And he just got the yellow card, the initial one for that foul at midfield just to stop a counterattack. And this one, he was doing the same thing, stepping in. But, I mean, it really is a last-ditch effort to try to just keep the ball deep in that end.
We get another look at it. It was on the clearance. Ooh, if that's the foul, That might have been a little questionable there. I'm not sure that would have been enough for a yellow.
Yeah, it looked like it was the outside of his cleat, not the bottom of his cleat that was going in there. So I don't know about that one, but it maybe looked worse in real time.
Well, Bob Lilly's side reduced to 9 men here in stoppage time. Crazy, crazy stuff.
And it's really the knock-on effect for the next games, too, that you really have to think about at this point.
That is it. Full time at Widener Field. Romario Williams scored in the 80th minute, and it's enough for all 3 Switchbacks points as they beat Pittsburgh by a 1-0 in the first ever meeting between these two. Have to say it was a bit of an odd night. We saw a little bit of everything. But in the end, the Switchbacks won't care one bit. They get the 3 points, and Romario Williams is our Better Business Bureau man of the match with his winning goal.
He ended up being the difference in this one. The right-footed finish off the cross from Seagrass, it makes a difference. They kept knocking on the door. They had so much possession. Not a lot of clear chances, but the one he did get, he put in.
Now let's take a look at the critical moment of the match. We needed a moment of inspiration, a moment to separate these two sides. The critical moment came from Romario Williams. It's the Centura Health critical moment of the match and the winning goal.
And they did really well there to play in front. Foster really starting things off, getting it to Seagrass, but Williams was the difference. That was a big goal because it was very hard to create chances against the stingy Riverhounds defense.
And there was some missed opportunities in there as well, but didn't matter. The Switchbacks were able to pull it out. Their persistence paid off, and we will wrap it all up next from Widener Field as the Switchbacks win it by a 0-0, and they celebrate here in Colorado Springs. Sean St. Jacques, Casey White, back here with you, wrapping things up from Colorado Springs. Romario Williams celebrates with the fans. His goal gives the Switchbacks all 3 points in a win over the 9-men Pittsburgh Riverhounds. As we take a look back at the highlights from what really was a wild and wacky Widener affair.
The Switchbacks trying to figure out how to get behind this back line of 5, and they do so really well in that moment with Echeverria with this late run from his midfield position, dropping it back off to Skundrich, but not able to direct this on frame.
Switchbacks were the better team just about at the start of the game. It was a bit of a slow start for both teams. Then at the end of the first half, Pittsburgh started to come into the game.
And this was not a game of clear opportunities. This one from Forbes, off the head of Ordonez. It goes off of Lacroix for another corner kick, but not really a clear chance. And then right here, this is a big change here as Mertz goes in, cleats high on the tackle, an automatic red card, and that would send the Riverhounds down to 10 men.
Really changed how the second half played out in this one. Pittsburgh, I think, wanted to expand what they were doing offensively. This stifled that as Robbie Mertz was sent off 2 minutes into the second half. And then really, it was just a matter of how long it would take for the Switchbacks to score goals, really.
And just dispossessed right here, looking for long range, just looking for anything that could kind of break this deadlock with the Switchbacks. Henriquez looking for that one, just didn't dip soon enough. And then this was a big moment as well. Foster with a great turn in the penalty area, draws the foul, penalty kick does go to the Switchbacks.
And then Malik Foster with a head-scratching penalty.
And look at that. I mean, there's just nothing on it. No pace, not anything. And he would be involved later on more in the game to try to make up for this, but this really could have changed things early on, and perhaps they could have opened up earlier and more against the Riverhounds. But then there's Foster there getting the ball out to Seagrass, and this would be the separator as Williams puts it away.
Mario Williams scoring his team-high second goal of the early season. And it really ended a long stretch where the Switchbacks were their own worst enemy in front of goal. Williams saves them at the end, and Pittsburgh had no reply at the end, although they had a couple of late half chances. And of course, there was that second red, second yellow for Arturo Ordonez, and Pittsburgh was reduced to 9 men. And that is how the game finished. Full-time stats brought to you by the Better Business Bureau. Just one shot on target for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. They won't be happy with that. They finished with 9 men on the pitch, and despite all the chances for the Switchbacks, just 2 shots on target, but they scored the goal that mattered in the end.
And really, they're lucky to get out with 3 points because they only had 2 shots on target, but they did, and they got the win.
Really, really wild and crazy game at Widener Field. The Switchbacks get the 3 points in the end, thanks to Romario Williams. Pittsburgh finishes with 9 men on the pitch. For Casey White and our entire crew, I'm Sean St. Jacques saying so long from Colorado Springs. The Switchbacks win it by a 0-0.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.